Past exam paper solution. SATS 2026 Maths, Paper 1, Arithmetic. Hello everyone, my name is Attila. Welcome to our program for past exam paper solution. Let's solve and practice together the SATS Paper 1, 2026. Question 1. 87 plus 327. Quite simple. You just add them together. 7 and 7 is 14, carry forward 1. 2 plus 8 is 10, add a carry forward 1. 11, carry forward 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, and we get 414. But there is an alternative approach that will make your lives a lot easier. We just split 87 into 80 and 7, and 327 into 327. Now we add 80 plus 300 because it's relatively easy, which is 380, and then 7 plus 27, which again is quite easy, it's 34. Now, we can, if you like, again split 34 into 30 plus 4. Now let's do 380 plus 30 first, which is 410. And now we add 4, which also gives us 414. You can do either of the options, but the alternative is a bit faster and easier, and it saves a lot of time. Question 2. 5,555 plus 555 plus 55. So instead of having to do it the traditional way, which we'll show later on, we can do the line method. Remember to use the lines so that you don't lose track. So we just first add the ones on the place values, so 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is 15, carry forward 1. Then we add the tens, so 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is 15, add our carry forward 1, and we get 16. And we carry forward another 1 and put it above the hundredths place. Now, 5 plus our 5 plus our 1 gives us 11, so we put down our 1 and carry forward another 1. And because for the thousands place, we don't have anything to add 5 to, we'll just straightforward add our 1, which is 6. And so we get 6,165. Remember to use the lines so that you don't lose track, alright? Now, you can do the traditional approach if you find this one a bit hard for yourself. So you can do 5,555 plus 555 plus 55. But it's time consuming and you will lose a lot of time, especially for the hard questions. So I highly recommend that you use the line method. Question 3. 67 divided by 1. It's so easy you could do this in a fraction of a second. It's easily 67. Let me tell you something. If you divide anything by 1, then the original value always stays. E.g., 699 divided by 1 is 699, and so on. Okay, question 4. 3 times 23. It's quite simple. We just multiply the ones first, so 3 times 3 is 9, and then we multiply the tens since we have nothing to add to, so 3 times 2 is 6. So our final answer is 69. Question 5. 5,200 minus 1,600. To make our lives a bit, easier, we just remove the zeros from both sides temporarily. And now, instead of having to do 52 minus 16, we can split 16 into minus 12 and minus 4. Let's do 52 minus 12 first. That gives us 40. And now we subtract 4 So 40 minus 4 gets us 36. The place value of 6 is the hundreds, and the place value of 3 is in the thousands, and thus we have to add those two zeros back. And now we just add our zeros back, otherwise our answers wouldn't count. So our final answer is 3,600. Now, you couldn't do it the traditional way if you think the other one's a bit complex. Question 6, 99 divided by 9. It's quite simple, you just use your 9 times table. And even if you didn't know, it's quite simple, because 9 divided by 9 is 1, and 9 divided by 9 also gives us 1. So we get 11 as our final answer. Question 7. Something equals 4,381 minus 2,289. Now, you may be confused as to whether to add them or subtract. So, let's use small numbers to understand. In here we put a small question to, make it easier to understand. So box equals 3 minus 2. We can figure out that the box is 1 because the box equals 3 minus 2. And so we apply the same to our bigger numbers. Now we can do 4,381 minus 2,289. 1 minus 9 can't be done, so we cross out our next door 8 to make it 7, and we carry forward 1 to make it 11. Now it's easy. 11 minus 9 is 2. 7 minus 8 can't be done either, so we cross out our 3 to make it 2, and we carry forward 1. Now we can do it. 17 minus 8 is 9. 2 minus 2 is 0, and 4 minus 2 is 2. So our final answer is 2092. Now, alternatively, we can split our tens and ones so that we can subtract separately, and thus making our lives easier. So we have 4,300 plus 81, and then minus 2,200 minus 89. Let's do our thousands first. Let's ignore the zeros, put them straight down. 3 minus 2 is 1, and 4 minus 2 is 2, so we get 2,100. And now, we can't do 81 minus 89, so we do the other way around. 89 minus 81, which is 8. And then we see the bigger value and see if it's positive or negative. In our case, 89, our bigger number, is negative, and so we put minus 8. Now we solve 2,100 minus 8, which is 2,092. Pretty easy. Now, we can do the normal method, but it will kill off some time, which we don't want. So I recommend you do the alternative method. And if you're not good at it, then practice more on it. Question 8. 350 divided by 5. It's basically doing 35 divided by 5, but having another 0. So, for now, we just ignore our 0. And we can do 35 divided by 5. It's relatively simple because it's in the 5 times table. And so 35 divided by 5 is 7. Then don't forget to add our 0 back so that our answer is correct. So our final answer is 70. Question 9. 2004 minus 10. Now, you could do it the traditional way, but it will waste so much time. So instead, we split minus 10 into minus 4, and then minus 6. Let's do 2004 minus 4 first. That gives us 2000. And now we can do 2000 minus 6. And we can easily tell that it gives us 1994, which is our final answer. Question 10. 4,030,206 equals 4 million plus something plus 200 plus 6. Now, to find out what that something is, let's compare both sides of our equation and see what is missing. We know that we have 6 in both sides of our equation. We also have 200 in both sides, as well as 4 million. But 30,000 remains uncrossed, and because we don't have it on our right side, we put it in our box. So that's our final answer, 30,000. Question 11. 4/5 plus 3/5 plus 2/5. Now, when you add fractions, we should make sure that we make the denominators the same. However, the denominators are already the same, so we can just leave the denominator as is. Now, 4 plus 3 is 7, plus another 2, and we get 9/5, and we can put that in our box. Or, if you want to do it as a mixed number, we can also write it as 1 and 4/5. But make sure to only put one of those answers, otherwise you may lose a mark. Question 12. 9,600 divided by 6. It's like our other question where we did 350 divided by 5. So first we remove those two zeros and put it in our answer. And now we can do 96 divided by 6. 6 goes into 9 once, but doesn't fit exactly, so we are left with a 3, and because there's a 6 after, we see that 6 goes into 36 6 times exactly. And so our final answer is 1,600. Practicing and understanding these questions is a vital guide for those students who want to secure a place in a grammar school. So do not miss it and practice right now. Question 13. 48.5 plus 7.392. Now, because one of them has one decimal place and the other has 3 decimal places, we change the first number to have 3 decimal places. So we add 2 zeros to 48.5 since it doesn't change the value of 48.5. So in other words, we're just making our lives easier. And now we add 7.392. So 0 plus 2 is 2, 0 plus 9 is 9, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 7 is 15, put our 5 down, carry forward 1, and then 1 plus 4 is 5. So we get our final answer of 55.892. Question 14. 72 divided by 4. Now, when we multiply, we start with the ones, but when we divide, we start with the tens. So we'll do our tens place value first. Now, 4 goes into 7 once, but doesn't fit exactly, so we are left with a 3. And because we have a 2, we try to put 4 into 32, 8 times, and it fits exactly. So our final answer is 18. Question 15. 68 times 9. Relatively simple. 8 times 9 is 72. Put 2 down and carry forward 7. And then 6 times 9 is 54. Add our carry forward of 7. And we get 61. So our final answer is 612. Question 16. 4/5 times 1/9. Now, we multiply numerator with numerator and denominator with denominator. So, 4 times 1 is 4, and 5 times 9 is 45. And so, 4 over 45 is our final answer. Question 17. Half of 250 equals what? Now we can do 250 divided by 2, so 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 5 twice but doesn't fit exactly, so put 1, and 2 goes into 10 5 times, which is 125. But we can do it mentally, because it's way faster and quicker. Now the first step is to halve 200, which is 100. And the second step is to halve 50, which is 25. And then we add them together. So 100 plus 25 gives us our final answer of 125. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, isn't it? Question 18. Something divided by 8 equals 12. Now, because we're dividing that something by 8 to give us 12, it has to be bigger than 12, and thus we multiply. So, we do 12 times 8, which it gives us 96, because you should know your 12 times table by now, but if you don't, then that's okay. Question 19. 9/10 minus 1/5. Now, remember when I said that you had to make the denominators the same for adding? It applies the same for subtracting. So, we have to make the denominator the same. So we multiply both sides of the fraction by 2. So, 9/10 minus 1/5, we multiply both by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 5 times 2 is 10. So we then get 9/10 minus 2/10. Now, 9 minus 2 is 7, and 10 minus 10 is 0, right? Wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And you want to know why? Remember when I said to keep the denominator the same? Yeah, you don't subtract the denominator, otherwise you most certainly are going to lose a mark and potentially upset your parents. So, we always keep the denominator the same when adding or subtracting fractions. So, we do not add or subtract the denominators when we add or subtract fractions. Question 20. 457 times 46. Unfortunately, we don't have any alternative method, so we're going to have to do it the classic way. Now, 7 times 6 is 42. Carry down 2 and carry forward 4. 5 times 6 is 30. And then add a carry forward of 4. And we get 34. So put down 4, carry forward 3. 4 times 6 is 24. Add a carry forward 3. And we get 27. Now we'll multiply by 4. So we block out the ones column. Now, 7 times 4 is 28. Put down the 8 and carry forward 2. 5 times 4 is 20. Add our 2, and we get 22. So we carry forward another 2. Now we can do 4 times 4, which is 16. Add our carry forward of 2, and we get 18. And now we just add those two numbers together. And so we get 21,022. Question 21. 9,809 times 1,000. Now, if you ever get a question like this, then you should find it relatively easy. In fact, it should only take you no more than 4 seconds at least. Now, because we're multiplying by 1,000, we just add 3 zeros to 9,809. So we get our final answer of 9,809,000. Question 22. 34.3 minus 26.44. Now, it's just like our other question, because the second number has 2 decimal places, we also make the first number 2 decimal places. So we add a 0, because it doesn't change any values. Now let's subtract 0 minus 4. That can't be done, so we cross out 3 to make it 2, and we get 10 minus 4, which is 6. 2 minus 4 cannot be done, so we cross out 4 to make it 3 and carry forward 1. So we have 12 minus 4, which is 8. Now, 3 minus 6 can't be done, so we cross out 3 and make it 2 and carry forward 1. So 13 minus 6 gives us 7. And finally, 2 minus 2 gives us nothing. So our final answer is 7.86. Now, it's a bit lengthy and time-consuming, so we have an alternative method for you. We subtract the whole number first, and then the decimal numbers. So we can do 34 minus 26, which gives us 8, and then we can do 0.30 minus 0.44. Now, because you can't exactly subtract those two, we can do 0.44 minus 0.30, which gives us 0.14. The big number has the negative sign, so we use the negative sign for 0.14. And then we have 8 minus 0.14, which gives us 7.86. And that's our final answer. Just to add that it is also helpful for international students who plan to sit for GCSE in the future. International students can also compare their learning with that in England up to Year 6 with us. You will find these videos in the podcast section of our channel. Question 23. 202.4 divided by 100. Relatively simple. Because we're dividing by 100, we move the decimal place 2 to the left. So we get our final answer of 2.024. Question 24. 4 times 3.78. We multiply 3.78 by 4, starting from the ones. 8 times 4 is 32, so we put down 2, carry forward 3. 7 times 4 is 28, add our carry forward of 3, and we get 31. 3 times 4 is 12, add our carry forward of 3, and we get 15. Now, remember to put our decimal place 2 after, to the left. So, our final answer is 15.12. Question 25. 714 divided by 51. It seems very complicated, and it kind of is. So instead of dividing by 51, we divide by 50. So 50 goes into 71 only once. And we put 51 instead of 50. So we do 71 minus 51, which is 20. Now 50 cannot fit into 20, so we put down our 4. So let's see. 50 times 4 is 200, and it's pretty close to 204. So let's try 51 times 4. And as you can see, 51 times 4 is indeed 204, and fits exactly, thus leaving us with nothing. And so our final answer is 14. Question 26. 3/4 divided by 3. Now, we don't have to exactly divide it by 3. Instead, we use the KFC method. So, we keep our first fraction, flip the second fraction, so 3 as a whole number can be written as 3 over 1. So if we flip that, we get 1/3. And then change the sign. So we change the sign from division to multiplication. And now we can multiply as per normal. 3 times 1 is 3, and 4 times 3 is 12. So we get 3/12. And if you want to simplify it, we can simplify it to 1/4. And that's our final answer. But remember to put only one of them, otherwise you might lose a mark. Question 27. 6,715 times 54. Unfortunately, again, we don't have any special method for you, so we're just going to have to do it the boring old way. 5 times 4 is 20, so carry forward 2. 1 times 4 is 4, plus our carry forward 2, and we get 6. 7 times 4 is 28, put down our 8, and carry forward 2. 6 times 4 is 24, add our carry forward of 2, and we get 26. Now, for multiplying by 5, we block out the ones column on the second line, and multiply as per normal. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25, put down our 5 and carry forward 2. 1 times 5 is 5 plus our carry forward 2, and we get 7. 7 times 5 is 35, so we put down 5 and carry forward 3. And then 6 times 5 is 30, plus our carry forward of 3, and we get 33. And now, once we add them all together, we get our final result of 362,610. Question 28. 30% of 2,320. We know that 30% is 0.3. So we multiply 2,320 multiplied by 0.3. Now, 0 times 3 is 0, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 3 is 6. And afterwards, we just add one decimal place to the left. So we get our final answer of 696. Question 29. 80 minus 4 cubed. So first, we convert the 4 cubed into a whole number. So 4 cubed can also be written as 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 times 4 is 64, and then we do 80 minus 64. Now, there's a slightly easier way. So from 64, we add 6 to get 70, and from 70, we add 10 to get 80. And we add our 6 and 10 together to give us our difference of 16, which is our final answer. Question 30. 97% of 400. Instead of having to do 400 multiplied by 0.97, there's a slightly easier approach. So we can do 1% of 400, which is 4, and then 3%, which is 4 times 3, which is 12. We know that 97% is 100% minus 3%. So our 100% is 400, and our 3% is 12. So we subtract 400 minus 12. Now we can split 12 furthermore into minus 10 and minus 2. So let's do 400 minus 10 first, which is 390. Then we subtract 2, which is 388. Question 31. 2,176 divided by 16. Now, let's use our distributive law. So instead of dividing it by 16, we can divide first by 2, then 8, or divide 4, then 4. In our case, we'll use 2 and 8, but you can always be free to use 4 and 4. Let's first divide 2,176 divided by 2. So 2 goes into 2 once exactly. 2 doesn't fit into 1, so we put a 0. Now 2 goes into 17 8 times, but doesn't fit exactly, so we're left with a remainder of 1. And then 2 goes into 16 exactly 8 times. And now we can do 1088 divided by 8. 8 goes into 10 once, but doesn't fit exactly, so we put a 2 next to our 8. 8 goes into 28 3 times, but doesn't fit exactly, so we are left with our 4. And then 8 goes into 48 6 times exactly. And so our final answer is 136. Question 32. 1 3/4 plus 1 5/8. Now instead of having to do it entirely, we can add the whole numbers first and then our fraction numbers. We know that. Let's start with the fractions first. 3/4 plus 5/8. Now, we have to make the denominators the same since we're adding fractions. So we convert 3/4 into eighths, which gives us 6/8. Now 6/8 plus 5/8. Now what we can do is subtract 2 from our 5 and add 2 to our 6 to give us 8/8 plus 3/8. Now if you notice carefully, we know that 8/8 is also equivalent to 1. So we can do 1 plus 1 plus another 1. So our whole part is 3, and our fraction parts remain the same, which is 3/8. And so our final result is 3 3/8. Or you can do it the traditional way. So 1 times 4 plus 3 is 7/4, and then 1 times 8 plus 5 is 13/8, and then multiply both sides of 7/4 by 2, which is 14/8, and then add 13/8, which is 27/8. And we can also put that down as our answer, but remember to put only one of them, otherwise, like I said, like the previous 5 times or so, you might lose a mark. Question 33. 0.09 times 24. Let's just ignore the fact that it's 0.09 and instead multiply 24 by 9. So 4 times 9 is 36. Put our 6 down and carry forward 3. 2 times 9 is 18 plus our carry forward 3, and we get 21. Now, because we're multiplying by 0.09, which has 2 decimal places, we also add 2 decimal places to 216, which gives us 2.16. And that's our final answer. Question 34. 65% of 680. We could do the normal method. So 680 multiplied by 0.65, but it's just too complicated. And so what we can do instead is we can do 50% plus 10% plus 5% to get us a 65%. We know that 50% of 680 is 340, and we know 10% of 680 is 68. And 5%, it's just 10% divided by 2, which is 34. And now we add all of those together to get us our 65% of 680, which is 442. However, you can do the good old traditional method like I said, although this is more time consuming and I highly recommend that we do the latter choice. So 0 times 5 is 0, 8 times 5 is 40, carry forward 4, 6 times 5 is 30 plus our 4, which is 34. Block our ones digit, 6 times 0 is 0, 8 times 6 is 48, add our carry forward to 4, 6 times 6 is 36, plus our 4, 40, and add them all together, and we get 442. But remember to put 2 decimal places, and so we finally get 442. Question 35. 3/4 minus 2 4/5. Instead of having to do 3/4 minus 2 4/5, we can do the whole numbers first and then the fraction. 3 minus 2 is 1. And then we can do the fractions. Now, like I said before, we always make the denominator the same. So, we know that the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. So we make both of the denominators 20 by multiplying the fractions by 5 and 4 respectively. So 1/4 is multiplied by both sides of 5 and we get 5/20, and 4/5 multiply both sides by 4 and we get 16/20. Now 5/20 minus 16/20. That can't exactly be done, so we cross out 1 because 16/20 is bigger than 5/20. So to counter that, we cross out 1, which gives us 20/20 to add to 5/20, and then we subtract 16/20. So we can do 20 plus 5 minus 16. 20 plus 5 is 25, and then minus 16, and we get 9/20. Now, we could do the traditional way, which we'll show you in a moment. Now, we can do 3 multiplied by 4, which is 12, and then add our 1, which is 13/4, and then we subtract 2 and 4/5, so 2 times 5 is 10, plus our 4, which is 14/5. Now, we should always make the denominators the same, so we make both sides of the fraction into 20th. So 13/4, we multiply both sides by 5, and 14/5, we also multiply both sides by 4 to make the denominators equal. So we get 65 minus 56/20. So 65 minus 56 gives us the same answer of 9/20. But it's pretty lengthy, so we recommend we do our first option. Question 36. And our final question. 2.5 times 70. Now instead of having to do 2.5 times 70, we can multiply them separately. So 70 multiplied by 2 is 140. And 1/2 times 70, it's basically the same as 70 divided by 2, which is half of 70, which is 35. And then we add them together to give us 175. But if you really want to do 2.5 times 70, we make 2.5 into an improper fraction, and then we can do 5 times 70 divided by 2. We can simplify 70 and 2 by dividing both sides by 2, so 70 divided by 2 is 35, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, like I said before, anything divided by 1 and the original question's value is always the same. So, 5 times 35 is 175. And that's our final answer. These questions are developed by the Standards and Testing Agency for the 2025 National Curriculum Assessment and licensed under the Open Government License version 3.0. So, it is very important that you watch this video and assess yourself against what is expected of you at the end of Year 6. We have 3 papers for each year. So please practice these questions and watch this video regularly. It will dramatically boost your math skills. If you do not understand any questions, please comment down below and we will reply with the best explanation. That's all from 11 Plus Maths Genius for this episode. If you like it, please share it with your friends and please hit that subscribe button. Do not miss our next episode, any lectures, mocks, tips, or fun. Until then, be vigilant when you are outside, stay safe, stay healthy, and practice more. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.